The time now is 6:02. Once again, I am Teresa Pollock with the Northwestern Water and Sewer District. We welcome you to tonight's public meeting regarding the Sugar Ridge Mercer Road Sanitary Sewer Project. We appreciate your attendance in our virtual forum as we follow guidelines of the State of Ohio's Open Meeting Act under COVID-19's emergency declaration. This is not how normally we run our meetings, but we're doing our best to communicate with you about this project. We ask for your patience with the format given the circumstances. Now, we would like you to follow along with the presentation that we have for you, and you can do so on our website at nwwsd.org. We're going to start off with some meeting ground rules. Our meeting will be recorded and posted on our website at nwwsd.org. Our attendees will be muted, and after the presentation, we are going to review comments submitting during and after this presentation. Now, in order to submit your comments, you may do so using several different ways. Number one, you can use the chat feature that is in the Zoom software. We are trying to accommodate everyone, so you can also submit comments via text, and you can do so at the number 419-806-9152. You may also email us at publicinfo@nwwsd.org, and you can call us at 354-9090, extension 193. Our next slide in our presentation, in which we will introduce members of our team who will be providing more information. I, once again, am Teresa Pollock, the Public Information Director of the Northwestern Water and Sewer District. We also have with us Garrett Chamberlain. He is our Assistant Engineer. Matt Dennis, our Project Manager. Stephanie Kiefer, our Engineering Administrator. And Denise Plummer, who is with Pogemeyer Design Group. We'll run through our agenda on the next slide. We've already done our introduction, but then we'll go through a brief history of the district, our scope of work, our public and private, on the public and private side. We'll also review the Ohio EPA ordered area. We also look at outside the Ohio EPA ordered area, a schedule, timeline of the project, estimated project costs, customer costs and responsibilities, and any questions. The Northwestern Water and Sewer District is chartered under Section 6119 of the Ohio Revised Code. We were commissioned in 1994 to assume water and sewer operations of the Wood County Sanitary Engineer. Our current Board of Trustees, appointments by Wood County Commissioners: John Cheney, Douglas Miller, William Herzl. Our Henry County Commissioner appointment is Tim Phillips. Our township member appointments include Steve Arnold, Melinda Kale, and Brooke Hahn. And our municipal member appointments include Mark Sheffer, Bill Vervosky, and Chuck Latta. We are now showing a visual map of our water service area. This area mirrors our sewer service area in most cases, and we are currently serving the majority of our area in Wood County. We serve over 20,000 customers in Wood and Henry counties as well. And with that, we will now turn the presentation over to Mr. Garrett Chamberlain.
Thank you, Teresa. As you said, I'm Garrett Chamberlain. I'm the assistant engineer here at the district. So the next slide here is critical home sewage treatment area. And what does that mean? So I'm drawing a blank. Sorry. The unincorporated area of Sugar Ridge is considered a critical home sewage treatment area. So what that means is the Ohio EPA or the Ohio Health or Wood County Health Department has determined that the sanitary sewer conditions of the designated area are in dire need of remediation. So in the case of Sugar Ridge, the Ohio EPA ordered that the immediate drainage area of the community be studied, and based on the results of that study, action has to be taken to resolve the unsanitary sewer conditions. The orders from the Ohio EPA are directed to the jurisdictional body responsible for the sanitary sewer services in that designated area. And in the case of Sugar Ridge, the district is the responsible agency for providing those services. So the study was completed and the results showed that the most viable alternative was a public collection system made of low pressure sewers and grinder pumps connected to the City of Bowling Green's collections and wastewater treatment facility. So this next slide is a map of the service area or the proposed project as well. It calls out the sewer lines, which are in green on the map. It calls out a purple boxed in area, which is the true ordered area per the EPA. It has a red box on it that designates the LMI area. And if you recall, I lived in this area previously in the last few years. We did a income survey in that area, and that was deemed to be the low to moderate income or LMI area for this project. I wasn't done, you can go back. So the proposed project includes 57 homes that were identified by the Ohio EPA. The sewer collection system includes approximately 2 miles of low pressure sanitary sewer force main. Each home will receive a grinder pump for service and will be owned and maintained by the district. Did I already say all that? So I can repeat myself. So the green lines, go back. I'm not done with that slide. Like I said, the green lines show the proposed service area, and to help for those that are on the phone, the green line or the lines planned for the project go from State Route 25 to the eastern edge of the non-incorporated area of the community. And then on Mercer Road, it goes north approximately 2 homes, and then it goes south on Mercer Road, approximately 6 homes from Sugar Ridge Road. The map's available on our website if you'd like to see it after the meeting or can't see it today via phone. Now you go to the next slide. So the Ohio EPA ordered area, if you live outside the current, if you live outside that current described area, that connections are currently not available as part of this project, besides those on Sugar Ridge Road. So if you live on Sugar Ridge Road to the west of Mercer, technically you were not in the ordered area, but you will be required to connect per the Ohio or Wood County Health Department rules that states that anyone within 400 feet of a publicly available sewer will be required to connect. Anyone also that lives outside the current proposed project will be offered the opportunity to petition to have the sewer lines extended to your property. We'll send letters to nearby area residents describing this process. Upon receipt of those requests for the service, the district will review them and prepare estimates for all the interested properties. There's no obligation to proceed if you simply express interest, but if enough interest is received and the extension proceeds, all of the homes adjacent to the proposed sewer may be required to connect. All right, next slide. So this next slide is a map of the greater surrounding area to put it in perspective for those that are residing outside of the current proposed project. Available areas that could potentially have extensions include homes on Hiltz Road, further south on Mercer Road, all the way possibly to Simmons Road, and then further north on Mercer Road to potentially include an extension west on Cross Creek Road. So like I said, if you live in those areas and are interested in sewer, please contact us after this meeting. So project financial assistance. Many of you probably recall that the project has been discussed multiple times in the past. That was the case because upon completion of the aforementioned studies, it was determined that the project in itself was deemed to be not affordable. There simply aren't enough properties to cover the cost of constructing the system and provide a reasonable monthly debt charge up until now. We now resolve this issue seeking 2 funding sources that make the project affordable. And those are listed on the slide. One is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Section 594 program, which is intended to plan to provide $919,000 in grant money, which has currently been secured and available for the project. Another funding source we're seeking the sources of is the Ohio Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, through their Residential Public Infrastructure Program, also known as RPIG. We've applied for this funding and are pending approval and funding in the next funding cycle. The RPIG program, our CDBG-RPIG, is, if we find it available, will cover a cost of the project through the Housing and Urban Development Program for improving water and sewer facilities. This funding provides grants up to $750,000 for projects such as this. They also offer individual grants provided to families with low to moderate income. These funds can be in the total amount of $100,000 made available for private connections, which we will discuss further in another slide. So the estimated project cost for the whole project for the low pressure sewer system as currently designed is $1.56 million. The reason that we've selected the low pressure sewer system is due to high rock elevations, flat landscape, proximity to existing sewer systems, the reliability and feasibility of maintenance for this type of system, and the district is quite familiar with such. We currently serve over 600 customers with this type of system. So what does that all mean in terms of a schedule? The initial order from the EPA came in 2010, as you see on the slide there, but it has taken quite a long time for us to make this project affordable. An income survey was completed, like I stated before, to help qualify the project for additional funding, and that has since been completed, as it says on the slide. CDBG funding, we're hoping could be available in May originally, as this slide stated, but we were just informed by them that we're likely to not get the funding until the next funding cycle, which will be in September of 2021 now. The Army Corps of Engineers Section 594 funding has been secured and will be available upon commencement of the construction work, so that is a definite securement there. The last remaining item on the schedule that needs to be done is a resolution of necessity by our Board of Trustees, which will be passed likely early next year, and that deems that the project is now affordable and will be proceeding. So estimated construction schedule, besides the funding schedule, the design for the project is complete. Property easements for the mainline construction are complete as well, but we'll be in contact with you about easements for the grinder pump locations, which will occur in January to April as listed on this slide. Construction bidding is anticipated to be around June to August timeframe of next year, and construction will likely start in October or potentially a little bit later in 2021. Construction completion is anticipated to be around June of 2022, so a little under a year for construction is the anticipated timeline. So the estimated project costs, as I said, are $1.59 million. The ordered project area includes 57 homes. The estimated cost per home at that rate is $28,000 per home. The possible grant potential for that to cover that cost is between $16,000 and $28,000. That range is dependent on the difference between whether or not we secure the CDBG funding and simply only have the Army Corps of Engineers funding. So the total debt cost per home then ranges from $0 to $12,000 for the same reason. So the monthly cost per home would range from $0 to $26 per month for the debt service alone. This next slide is monthly operation costs. So for those of you listening along, what does that all equate to a monthly bill? This slide shows two different users, what we consider a average water user at 3,000 gallons per month, and also a larger than average user at 4,500 gallons per month, based on our 2020 rates, with 100% of the project covered by grant, or then only part of the project covered by grant. So based on 3,000 gallons per minute with 100% of the grant covering the project, your monthly bill, as shown in this slide, would be $46.60.
You point out most users are going to be closer to the 3,000.
Correct. Most users will be closer to the 3,000. Please go back one slide. I wasn't done with that one. So, like as I said, most of the users will be closer or potentially under the 3,000. In areas such as this, that's been more of our experience, but we wanted to give a larger range just in case. So the 4,500 gallons per minute range listed there, that's, as said, without the grant funding of CDBG. So there's significantly higher at $91.09. That's worst case scenario, but as of right now, we don't anticipate that being the case. Apologies that if you are following along with the slides, there's a slight math error. The $91.09 is actually $88.20 if you were to add up $62.20 and $26 from the previous slide. Bills to note on this also, bills will be based on water meter usage. Part of the project will be installing well meters on your current wells to meter the water to lessen the cost of treatment and prevent having to pay for unmetered customer charges. All right, on the next slide. The owner's responsibility. So what exactly are you responsible for as a customer or as this project is completed? Once we're completed, you'll be given notice that you have 120 days to perform the connection to the system. So this will be connecting from your home to the grinder pump that will be installed in your yard. You'll be required to use a district licensed sewer contractor, a list of which is on our website, but we can send out as well as anybody that's interested. Your contractor will be responsible for abandonment of your septic tank in accordance with the Wood County Health Department rules. The contractor will be installing a new lateral or pipe from your home to the grinder pump. And it'll be located, the grinder pump will be located in an agreed upon location to try and minimize the additional cost of connecting to the system. You will also be required to disconnect any stormwater, sump pumps, downspouts, or anything of that nature from the sewer lateral if it exists today. That excess water is actually a hindrance. It costs additional money for treatment and can damage the pump or wear it out prematurely. So we do require that any non-sanitary sewer flows be removed from the system. So that's the major gist of the project. Stephanie Kiefer is going to talk about potential grant funding. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Kiefer. I provide much of the administrative support for the district or for the engineering department. I've been here about 16 years, and we've been using the Community Development Block Grant, or you'll hear us use the term CDBG a lot. That is the HUD money, or Housing Urban Development money, that comes out of the state and it is set aside for certain programs, one of which is this program, the RPIG program. Part of the grant that we're seeking will be some money set aside for household residential assistance, or the connection assistance. That is what Garrett just mentioned in the prior slide about what your responsibility is. There will be, we hope there will be some possible grant money, or there will be grant money available to help with homeowners for those connections. Now, the process for how that's going to develop is, as construction is underway, we, the district, we are administrating, myself, this program. We will be notifying all owners along the route of this program. We will spell out the application. The application will include the income limits and the rules for applying for that. If you're not sure if you think you could apply, or you're qualified, apply anyways. The money is on a first come, first serve basis. So what will happen is we'll mail out the applications, and we'll include with that the income limits and other guidelines. You would complete those and mail those back to us. We would review those, and if you're qualified, we would notify you in writing of that. The next step for you would be, as Garrett mentioned, you have to use a licensed district sewer tapper to perform that work. We would include a list of the current licensed sewer tappers that are authorized to perform work on our infrastructure. You would select from that list any three, and you could do more, but at least minimum of 3 contractors from that list, and they would give you a bid to do that work. Once you have your 3 quotes, you would mail them to us, and then we would take a look at those, and then we would select the lowest bidder from those selected quotes. We would notify that particular contractor that they are authorized to do that work. They would then go out and perform that work, and then they would send us the bill, and then we would write the check to them. We would hold some money for the restoration work. Thank you. We'll hold a couple $100 back. We'll reach back out to you, make sure that the property's been restored, that it's been seeded, it looks okay. And if it does, then we'll cut the remainder of check to that contractor. So that's how that program will work. That won't occur. This will not occur probably until we're underway in the midst of construction. So there's going to be a time gap between that. Couple things that I want to mention that I've seen over the course of being here and administrating this program. We've mentioned that it's a first come, first served basis, and that is true. It's also, we've had cases where when the state of Ohio closes this grant, they set a deadline, the grant is closed. That means there is no more money available. So if there's, for example, money left over that was not used, we turn that money back over to Columbus and it's gone. And once that has been determined, if you decide that you want to apply, it's too late. So this will not be an opportunity for you at that time. So we encourage you, when you get this mailing from our office, to go ahead, fill out the paperwork, return it to us so that we can start taking a look at this. We really want to use all of this money up from this program as much as we can without going to other county opportunities. So that's one possible grant that we have for the household residential connection. The other one that we are not administrating comes from the USDA. We've worked with them, we've partnered with them in the past. They have a grant and a loan program itself. There are some program requirements as listed on that slide. If you're listening by phone, it has to be owner occupied, no rentals. There is an age limit for the grant, 62 years age or older. Otherwise, if you fall under that, you could apply for a low income loan. This 504 program covers all kinds of home activities or repairs, besides this. So we will spell out the contact person's name that's out of the Findlay office closer to when we mail out our grant assistance for the CDBG at that time. And as the bullet point, there's a $7,500 lifetime grant awarded for the USDA program. There's also a $20,000 lifetime over the loan. So those are the two programs that we know of that would offer some assistance for the household connections. There are some other opportunities that we'll talk about later into the project. I believe the Wood County Health Department has some money as well, but we really want to use one of these two avenues first before we go down that avenue. And with that, we're going to talk about the actual grinder pumps that are installed in your property, and Matt Dennis will talk about those. Thank you.
All right, I'm Matt Dennis. I'm the project manager. So grinder pumps, low pressure storage pumps, or pumps with storage basins. You got a 70-gallon basin with a 1-horse pump. The typical household, you'll have about 100 gallons per day. That's usually about 2 to 3 times a day you'll have that pump running. They're needed to get the sewage to the public sanitary system. And everybody on this project will need one. Who pays for it? It's all included in the project except for what Garrett and Steph covered earlier, from the house to the grinder pump and the abandonment of your septic tank. There's also some electrical work to be done as well for a disconnect switch and an alarm panel. This is a little diagram of the typical layout for this. It shows you got your grinder pump, alarm box, and the power disconnect switch up on the house. You have your grinder pump, and shows where where your septic tank would be, where you need to reconnect it into your grinder pump. The main itself is out in the right of way, so we'll have an 1.5 inch service line from the main to the grinder pump. And then near the right of way, you'll also have a shut off with a check valve assembly there as well. This is just a little illustration of what one of these grinder pumps look like. At the bottom there, you got the storage basin, and then inside of that is the pump itself, with a, like 1.5 inch discharge. All right, so these are actual pictures. The one on the left is a project with the grinder pumps before they're installed in the ground. And then the picture on the right shows the pump after the installation. All you will see is the lid. We do have fake rocks that you can set over those to kind of decorate that area and cover that up a little bit. Easements. So we have 4 mainline easements. All of those don't apply to everyone. We have 4 of them, and if you haven't heard about that, then this won't apply to you. All those have been taken care of already. The main line itself is for the most part then within the right of way, except for those 4 instances. The individual grinder pumps will need a 10-foot by 10-foot easement per homeowner, and those locations we'll meet with each one individually. Each case will be a little bit different, but we'll meet with each person individually and determine the best location for that. And temporary easements, I don't think we have any of those on this. This is for construction only. Nothing will be permanently installed within the temporary easements. I do have some questions I'd like to cover that were already emailed to me today. I'm sure a lot of you will have similar questions. First question, how will the location of the grinder pump be determined? Like I said, we'll meet with each homeowner individually. Factors to consider would be where your existing plumbing is, where it's coming out from the house. Obviously, you want the shortest run as possible to help reduce cost. And we would also want that to keep that within a reasonable distance from the driveway, just in case if we ever should need to access that in the future. Second question was, what requirements does the district have regarding grinder pump station location? Again, we would just try to find something with reasonable access off of your driveway. We also would need a line of sight from the grinder pump to the alarm box. And then also from the alarm box, we want to be able to see the alarm box from the street. And third question, does the grinder pump station need to be visible from the public road? The grinder pump itself does not, but we would need the alarm box to be visible from the road. Fourth question was, are grinder pump stations remotely monitored? And that answer is no. With the alarm box, it has a red light on it. If the red light comes on, the reason you want to be able to see it from the road is that somebody can call it in. And then if there's an issue, we'll come out and handle that. We have staff on hand 24/7 that can make any repairs necessary, and we have parts here at the shop that are ready to go to make any repairs.
I got a few more of this.
Okay, Garrett's got a few more questions.
All right, so another question we received was, do the water meters on the wells show the difference between outside water and house used water? As of right now, no, they will not. And that really, we do winter averaging for our customers. So your summer water usage, or when typically most customers use a larger volume of water, is not used for billing purposes. You actually will be using the averages that we're reading in the winter time. So that should help resolve any issue with that. And then, will a bigger pump be available if it's determined that there is a larger water amount being used? As of right now, there's no intentions to. We don't believe that there's any customers along the route or in the project area that would require a larger pump. Like I said, we have over 600 of these in our system, and it's very rare to increase the size. Mostly only commercial users, customers require a larger pump. It's a standard. So like I say, there's a few more questions. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I have a question here. How many gallons do the pumps hold? 77.
Yeah, so each pump holds,
Pretty
oh,
good
sorry.
for when the power is out, so.
So each pump has a 70-gallon storage containment volume that Matt mentioned. And typically that's enough to get you by whenever there is a power outage. That's the typical answer or easy way we handle that.
Yeah, talk a little bit about power outages, I guess. I think you covered most of it. But
Yeah, so when the power does go out, like you said, that 70 gallons is available. If it were to be an extreme extended period, we have pumps the ability to come out and suck those out if
overflow in the yard.
yeah, and they could potentially overflow into the yard if something were to happen. We'll be installing a clean out on your lateral. With the contract will require that, and potentially it could come out through your clean out. So your sewers should still work in the event of a power outage, and it shouldn't be an issue.
The wells won't work anyways.
But yeah, that Tom brings up another good point. Your wells will not be working at that time either, so you're only going to get a flush or two before you run out of water anyway. So, yeah.
There was a question came in similar along these lines. Is there a time limit you have to repair the pump since we will be without sewer?
A time limit?
Like, I guess response time to when the pump goes.
Our response time to pump outages is usually no more than 2 hours from the time we get the phone call. We have, like Matt had mentioned, we have 24-hour on-call staff, and the phone number that if it's outside of normal working hours, we call the Wood County Sheriff. He forwards the messages on to our on-call staff, and they're come into the office, get the necessary equipment and pump materials. They come directly to your home, switch it out, and you should be good. Like I think he touched on, they have about a 10-year life cycle. So within 10 years, after about 10 years, we actually replace the pumps anyway because they start failing. We have some that have lasted longer than that, but that's our typical average life cycle on them. So.
And honest, anyone wants to review the way to contact the district for questions.
Sorry, what's that?
Review to contact the district for questions. Review how they can get a hold of us.
Oh, yeah. So if you go to the next slide.
Before you do that, can I ask one more question?
Yep.
The cost per month of electric bill and how we handle that?
It's
$1 to $2 a month.
correct. The average electric cost for these pumps is $1 to $2 per month, and you actually do receive a credit on your bill for that cost. If you go to the next slide, I believe there is a slide for how to reach out to us. So again, now that we're in the question and answer period, you can use the chat feature in your Zoom. If you're logged in via Zoom, you can text 419-806-9152. You can email us at publicinfo@nwwsd.org. You can call us as of right now for the next few minutes while we're still here, 419-354-9090, extension 193. We'll hang around for another few minutes if there is any more calls that come in. We'll be glad to answer anything we can. And if we're not here and if after this is done, feel free to give us a call. Or email those same contacts, and we'll be more than willing to answer any questions.
Jerry's asked us to talk about the next 30 to 60 days, what they'll see. It's really notification letters, things like that.
Okay, in the next 30 to 60 days, as the schedule elaborated on earlier, we will start reaching out to you to meet you on your property, locate grinder pumps, work through those easement issues, or not issues, but locations for the grinder pumps and the easements that we need to install those grinder pumps. So that's mostly all you're going to see from us in the next 30 to 90 days. The other things that we'll be doing at that time will be getting contracts ready for bidding, continuing with our funding applications to obtain that final funding source to help pay for this project. But the majority of the contact from us in the near future will be grinder pump easements and the work that's required with those. All right, another question.
Yeah, another question came in. Was the addition of water service considered due to efficiencies?
Addition of water service.
Putting water in at the same time.
Oh, would it be?
Not opposite sides of the roads.
Yeah. Do you mean in the same? I guess I'm,
Just building them at the same time, I think is.
okay.
Yeah, with the additional water service considered too.
Well, this project is being done because of orders. We don't have any current plans for water, but if there's enough interest, potentially we could follow up with water. But as Tom, I don't know if you could hear him mention, they would be potentially on the opposite, installed on the opposite side of the road, so there wouldn't really be a major benefit to installing them at the same time. But also, there's no funding for a water system at this time. So that would be borne completely by the property owners if water were to be extended. If there is interest in that, we'd be more than willing to have a conversation with anyone that's interested. But just as this project was heavily unaffordable, that sometimes too can be unaffordable as well. But we're more than willing to talk about that with anybody that's interested in what the potential options are. But as of this time, we're only planning on the sewer system. Sounds like phones are going off. Are there other questions?
No.
All right, we'll just hang out for a little bit longer in case there's any other questions.
Okay.
And, here's one.
How do you address higher value well meters? Majority of water use is for livestock and won't enter the pump.
Do you hear that question, Tom?
Honestly, if you're, we'd be more than willing to have a sidebar conversation about that, because there are ways we could examine your plumbing in your house, and if certain parts of it go out to a livestock facility or separated from the domestic house use, we'd be more than willing to work through that installation procedure with you. So I don't know who's asking that. We'll take down your information if we have it, and please give one of us a call and we'll work through that with you.
Jerry mentioned something about winter averaging. I must have missed something.
We do winter averaging, yes.
Talk about.
Yeah, I mentioned, we talked about we do winter averaging, but the problem he was pointing to is that if you have livestock year round, your water usage never really goes
I
down.
apologize.
Yeah, the gentleman or female makes a good point, and we'll have to work through that with them. All right, so like I said, we'll wait around for a little bit longer if there's any other questions. As I said, you can text 419-806-9152, email publicinfo@nwwsd.org, or call 419-354-9090, extension 193. And the last slide here, I might as well read that while I'm up here. Any comments or questions? As Matt, the project manager, his information's there. You can email or mail them to P.O. Box 348, Bowling Green, Ohio. And I think, Matt, your extension is?
It's 125. I think it's on the next slide.
Ah, there's another slide. So there's Matt Dennis's information, his email address, and his extension is 125, same 419-354-9090. So, thank you, but we'll wait around, like I said, for another minute or two if there's any other questions. And we appreciate your time, appreciate you tuning in, and we apologize that we couldn't do this in our normal public format, but due to the COVID regulations and orders from the governor, we're doing the best we can with the situations we have. So thank you.